yes, I finally finished rewatching it, and I've finished my notes up. I'm here, I'm ready to go. I did go out and buy the movie. I went out to Walmart and I picked it up. I picked up the Blu-ray edition, and I was pretty upset actually. I tried watching it, and the Blu-ray version kept skipping. Like it would randomly, not your like normal kind of skipping, the screen would just go black for a couple seconds before cutting back to the movie. It got really frustrating. Tried cleaning the disc. Disc is perfectly fine, no scratches or anything. I don't know what's going on with it. I already threw away the receipt and I can't find it, so that kind of sucks. I ended up finishing the movie on DVD. The quality wasn't that, it wasn't that big of a drop, so it was okay. But yes, I've rewatched the movie in its entirety because I didn't want to just project my thoughts based on what I remembered about it. You know, I wanted to give it a fresh take, and the timing just kind of worked out, you know, because it just came out on DVD. So, yeah. Couple quick shout outs. Shout out to my buddy Mitchell. This Batman flag he actually gave to me before I PCS'd and moved. So thanks, man. I put that up behind me so it's not just a blank wall. I think it's pretty nice. And then shout out to my good friend Luis. I've been friends for years. I met him in training. He's been really kind, really. Apparently in 2015, I had mentioned at some point making a YouTube channel about like comic books and stuff. And I don't remember, but he did, because the first thing he mentioned when we reconnected recently was, hey, where's your YouTube channel? And I was like, oh, right. So he's been a pretty big supporter of mine, and he's been specifically asking for the Joker video. So this one's for you, man. So quick disclaimer, this is my opinion. I'm not making this video to change anybody's opinion. I'm making this video because people have asked me about my opinion, and I think there's too much to just tell people I didn't like the movie. So I actually got down to the nitty-gritty and why I don't like it. Some of these things are just like little minor things that don't really, it's not affecting my overall judgment of the movie. It's just little things I noticed. And this is gonna set the standard for how I'm gonna review movies going forward, whether it's comic or otherwise. So yeah, good to get that out of the way. And like I said, I'm not doing this to change your opinion. If you like the movie, that's totally fine. That's cool. I mean, I have no problems with you because you liked the movie. I didn't. That's just weird. So if you enjoyed this movie, by all means, continue enjoying it. This is just my opinion on the movie. And I think that is gonna do it. So without further ado, the first thing we're gonna cover is previewing. So I'm gonna address the rumors right away. So when the rumors first started coming out that there was gonna be a Joker origin movie, I just instantly lost interest. I didn't really have any kind of interest in the movie at all. The Joker is just kind of one of those characters that doesn't need an origin. Great example. Yes, he has had origins, whether it be in film with the Batman '89 movie or comic books like The Killing Joke. It's not necessary. Especially if you look at Heath Ledger's Joker, he didn't even have an origin for his clothes. Like he just kind of popped in and he caused chaos, and that's truly what the Joker is just chaos, because he's supposed to mirror Batman's quote-unquote order, in a sense, you know, justice or whatever. So instantly, right away, Joker origin movie, I wasn't interested. That's all there is to it as far as the rumors are concerned. From what I remember about my initial impression of the first trailer that dropped, I was kind of like, okay, but what else? Again, this is just from what I remember. This trailer came out not a year ago, but I think it dropped around June last year. I just wasn't that impressed, you know? I was already uninterested in the movie, and the trailer didn't do anything to get me interested in it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, or I was at with that. So that covers previewing. I got a lot of notes, so got to flip a couple pages. So during the movie, right away, it's easy to tell that the movie wants you to feel bad for Arthur, right? And it justifies his actions throughout the film. And if you don't believe me yet, and again, this is just my opinion. If you disagree with something I say, please wait till the end, because a lot of these things intertwine and interconnect, right? So just listen to my whole thing before you instantly try to attack me in the comments for having a different opinion or whatever. All right, so yeah, right off the bat, movie's already doing things to make you feel bad for the Joker, right? Arthur. So right away it tells you it's October 15th, and it doesn't tell you what year. And I feel like that is a pretty small thing, but I think it would help with context and why everybody's so grumpy. During the opening monologue on the radio, it just kind of tells you people aren't, like, the trash people aren't working, so Gotham's dirty. I mean, okay. I guess that's a reason to be rude and just mean to everybody. I just think that's kind of weird. Yeah. So Arthur is basically a living Murphy's Law. There's nothing organic about the bad things that are happening to him. So I've had people tell me and try to defend the movie, which I don't know why you have to defend the movie. If you liked it, you liked it. I mean, that's all there is to it. But people have tried to tell me that this movie is a case study, which is, I don't think that's true, because the definition of a case study is like a legitimate research method, and this movie is a fictitious story written by a person to make a certain point or, you know, drive a certain thing. So how is this like a research thing to see how he would react if this is all engineered? And like the story, like anything, like I said just now, anything that can go wrong with this guy goes wrong. And I'll touch more on that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing organic about this. Like I said, I mean, people are all angry with each other because Gotham's dirty, I guess. And yeah, again, like everything that can go bad with this dude is happening. Oh, spoiler alert. This review, or whatever you want to call this, is going to have spoilers. I feel like I had to put that out there, even though the movie's on DVD now. All right, so moving on, or I guess I should set the stage. So at the beginning of the movie, you see the dude putting on his makeup, yeah, whatever. And then you see him on the street spitting his sign, doing his stuff, and then he gets beat up by a bunch of kids. And that's where the whole thing of like making you feel bad for him starts. And then it just gets more from there. As you see his interactions with his mom, you see he doesn't really talk to anybody but his mom and kind of the people he works with, although not really, right? So, and that's further backed by the boss of the clown company. You know, he says the other guys don't like you, they're uncomfortable around you, you creep them out, whatever. So he doesn't really talk to a lot of people. He doesn't really have any friends. He's just kind of out there on his own. So moving past that, you know, one of the other clowns hears about it, gives him a gun, and ultimately this leads to him being fired because he takes the gun to a children's hospital and it falls out during his act. I don't know why. That's just kind of weird to me. I don't know why you would, like, if you're going to take a gun with you for protection, cool. But if you're going to be dancing around in front of kids, it's probably not a good idea to have it on you, man. Like, you don't have, like, a bag or something you can put it in? Like, that's just kind of weird to me. Like, again, this is just, the dude's Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong is going to go wrong with this dude. And it's pretty obvious from the get-go. I mean, 2 incidents already that cause, like, well, one, the sign basically almost gets him fired, and then the gun does get him fired. And then it leads to him going on the train, and he sees the rich dudes harassing some random female. So the weird thing I found about this, I was kind of confused by, is this female leaves before the rich dudes even decide they want to pick on the Joker. So when the next day, when they're talking about, you know, oh, some people were murdered and people think it was a clown, who was the witness? Like, I mean, I guess, and like, I think this is a stretch, but whatever. This random person saw that there was murders on the news or something and just called in, hey, some guy dressed as a Joker or a clown was on the train. That just seems kind of weird to me, because from the perspective of inside the cars, when the train leaves and he hunts down that last guy, I mean, there's nobody in those cars from the perspective, you know, because it puts us in the perspective of the train car, and we see this dude, you know, running towards the guy. He's going to kill the last guy. And that's just kind of weird to me. I don't understand. Maybe, I don't know. It's whatever. It's a small thing, but it's just kind of weird to me that they the clown part is what got out, you know? No context around what was happening or whatever. She wouldn't say, oh, they were bullying me or nothing. It's just a clown killed 3 rich guys on a train. You know, it's just kind of weird. And then I thought it was a weird thing to make Arthur obsessed with dancing. Again, this is just kind of like a minor thing, but I didn't really get it. I didn't see why it was necessary. I just thought it was kind of weird. But yeah, that's just like a minor thing. And then, okay, so next, the only humorous part I enjoyed, right? So people like this movie because they liked how it portrayed Joker's dark humor, and I really don't see it. The kind of humor that the Joker goes for is like puns that are like deadly, you know? So if he'll say, oh, that's shocking, and then he'll kill you with an over shocking buzz, you know, hand buzzer. And there's not a lot of anything like that in there. There's just like, I just got into a car, or your son just got into a car accident and passed away. Like, it's nothing like the Joker. It's just weird. At this point, it's almost around 30 plus minutes into the movie, and the only place I actually felt like was Joker humor when he says he's gonna punch out, and then he just starts punching the punch out machine. I had thought that was pretty much the only, up until that point, that was the only time there was actually Joker humor. Yeah. Thomas Wayne's monologue was on point. So at this point, it is after the murders, and Arthur is sitting with his mom watching television. And Thomas Wayne's monologue is pretty much how a real politician would capitalize on something like that. You know, he launches into a little thing about how, oh, if you're out there as a civilian and you're supporting this guy, then you're a Joker too, because you're just killing people that are better out in life than you. Okay, guy? I mean, again, there's no context around those killings. Like, they could have been any number of things. They could have been justified in a sense, and you're just, I don't know, it's just kind of weird, right? There's no context around anything in those killings, and he's just spinning it as, oh, some guy just decided to murder rich people. Okay. So moving on, 40 minutes into the movie, so I've seen this happen. If you genuinely think this movie doesn't have a rich people bad undertone, I don't know. I don't know how you're not seeing that. Not only was that Thomas Wayne's monologue about underprivileged people being upset about rich people, right? Arthur's psychiatrist / social worker, I'm not entirely sure what they categorize her as, straight up says the rich people don't care about her anymore. Don't care about him, don't care about her, don't care about anybody but the rich. And then Thomas Wayne's dialogue is about how he cares about the rich, educated people that worked for him and not anything else that could have happened in that situation. Again, that can be attributed to the fact that it's a politician's, you know, speech to capitalize on the situation. And his dialogue is hypocritical in a sense because of the situation that Arthur's mom is in. And we'll touch on that more in a little bit because there are some things that twist and turn with that situation and why I feel like he's a hypocrite because of that, which is kind of a weird thing because in almost every iteration, the Waynes, as far as Martha and Thomas are concerned, they were always portrayed as being like good people going out of their way to try and help, you know, those are less fortunate than them. And this version of Thomas Wayne just kind of comes off a little condescending and truly belittling people, not rich in a sense. I might be a little off on that, but that's kind of how it comes off. And by this point, people are starting to rally behind Arthur because he killed rich people. I mean, if you really don't think this movie doesn't have some kind of like rich people bad undertone, I don't understand it, because that's pretty much the point of the entire movie. That's what starts all the riots in the streets. That's why people start dressing up as the Jokers, because rich people bad, kill them all. There's literally signs that say stuff like that in the riots and the rallies and things like that, which is what I just covered right there. And the signs are out there saying, like, slandering the Waynes and saying kill rich people, death to the rich. all this other kind of stuff. So that undertone is definitely there. Yeah, I don't really see how people are arguing against that. I really, really don't. Yeah, this one was kind of a minor thing as well. So almost everyone he interacts with, right, so far in the story is just mean for no reason. And then this random attendant at Arkham is like super nice to him. I don't know about you, but some of the rudest people I've ever met are attendees or attendants or what do you say? What do you call them? The admin people. Like, especially if he would, because Arthur asked for records that were 30 years old. Again, this is more kind of like a joke, but kind of not at the same time. It's just kind of weird that that's the character they chose for him, or to be nice to him. No, it's a joke. I'm just kidding. But it does make you think about it. It does make you think about it. So moving on. Yeah, by this point, a lot of things have happened. I believe by this point, Arthur's mom has been in the hospital, and that's why he goes to the mental hospital, or Arkham, to figure out what's going on because of what the police and his interaction with Thomas. Between those two factors, he tries to find out more about his past because he wants to really know if he's been adopted or not. And he ends up stealing those records, and yeah, he finds out he's adopted, and he's pretty upset about it, understandably. So at this point, he tries to go to his love interest up until this point for some comfort. Her name is Sophie, and she was introduced earlier in the movie. I didn't talk about her for a reason we'll get to in a minute. My main problem with this is she leaves her door unlocked when they live in Gotham City. So if you don't think that's weird, imagine living in Flint or Detroit, like in one of the rougher parts of town, and you just don't lock your doors. Like, that's just really weird, especially in, like, I get it, the clown killed rich people, but especially where there's like just people going around killing people, like that's weird to me. That's weird that her door would just be open. He'd just walk into her apartment. I feel like you could have got a similar effect or something just by having him knock and her being like, oh, you know, what, can I help you with something? Or, you know, because we find out later that all of his interactions with her were all fake. They were all in his head, which will lead me to another point here in a few minutes. So yeah, that was weird. I didn't care for that. I thought that could have been different. So let's go into the point I was just talking about. At this point in the movie, it's revealed that his relationship with Sophie didn't exist. So what was the point of her being in the movie? I understand that she was there to be like a motivator for him, like, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing good things. Yeah, like, screw the rich guys, or those guys on the subway deserved it, or whatever, you know? But isn't that like the point of people dressing up like clowns? To like mimic him? I mean, you can see when he goes to Thomas Wayne, right? When he goes to the rally at City Hall, he definitely feels empowered when he goes up to that riot or that crowd and he sees all the people dressed up in clown makeup because of what he did. So I feel like she was an unnecessary addition and didn't do anything for the movie while she was in there, unless you really, really wanted to bank on that shock factor when it's revealed she's not real. But yeah, I just felt overall that wasn't necessary because, like I said, the clowns and the people rising up and the riots and all that, it filled the role of filling him with the sense that he was doing the right thing. So I felt that was really just kind of unnecessary. So next I wanted to talk about, so shortly after this happens and he goes to the mental hospital, finds out he's adopted, and everything like that, he goes back to the hospital and his mom is barely conscious. And he goes into a little dialogue about how evil she is and how he's never really been happy and she's just been filling his head with lies, right, his entire life. So he just murders her. Again, she's barely conscious. She's barely speaking. I think in that scene she says like 3 words and he just suffocates her. And the dialogue felt off like this. Like the dialogue should have been used in like at the end, I guess, like, well, not directly at the end, but in a similar situation where it would have actually paid off, I guess. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. I felt his dialogue was weird. And then there's a just weird silence when the movie is filled with great music. I can't say anything against that, and I won't. The score was pretty good, and at this moment, there's just nothing. It's almost like somebody missed a cue, right, for music. It was just kind of weird. So that was kind of a weird spot for me. So going back to his house, he gets the call. I think he gets the call a little earlier, but he gets the call that he's going to go on the Murphy show, the show he watched with his mom. And so he's getting ready for that. He dyes his hair green. He's starting to put makeup on. And Randall and Gary show up at his house. They show up, they walk in, they say, hey, you know, we heard about your mom. We just want to see how you're doing. And Arthur responds with, yeah, I'm happy. You know, I'm glad she's dead. And they're just kind of like, oh, that's weird. Why are you dressing up as a clown? And he's just like, oh, I'm just Am. And it's just like, oh, you know, so they could tell something's off with this dude. And the big guy, Randall, is the one who gave him the gun earlier, who ultimately got him fired and was just kind of like a bully to him. Yeah, he straight up murders him. He pulls some scissors out of his back pocket and just starts going to town on this guy. And it's just really, really intense, really fast. It's just nuts. And the thing I have with this is, I'll get to it towards the end, but at this point he's killed 5 people, right? He's killed the 3 people in the subway, he killed his mom, and he's killed this dude. So this was another part that actually made me laugh. So after he finishes killing Randall, he's just sitting there next to the dead body, and Gary's like, okay, can I leave? And like, you know, he's like scared and stuff, and Arthur's like, yeah, you can leave, go ahead. And so as he's walking by, he like jumps up and like hits him with a jump scare. And I thought that was Joker-esque. It really was, because it was just like, oh, this is a terrible situation and I'm just going to do something to mess with you. And it truly was Joker-esque, right? And then Gary can't get out because he can't reach the padlock because Gary is a small person. And so Joker has to go up and help him. Tells him, you know, you've always been nice to me, gives him a weird kiss on the head and kind of shoves him out the door. So this, I just want to point this out because it's been memed to eternity, you know, been memed to dust. Everybody's aware. But his full get up dance down the stairs is just as cringy as emo Peter Parker dancing and walking down the streets of New York. And it's weird. So Kara pointed this out and I felt like including it for just kind of like whatever. Oh yeah, so like the music transition was kind of weird. I get that it was to, you know, like the cops are coming for him, he's got to run or whatever, but I just thought they did it way too early. They could have done the happy getting music as he's dancing down the stairs until he realizes the cops are after him and he starts running, and then they could have changed the music. It's just kind of like I guess one of those minor things for me. But Kara wanted to point out that the entire movie, he's not actually dancing to any music, he's just moving, which I guess, I don't know, that's just, I guess people do that all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Kara was surprised by that though, because like she thought it was just this scene, and then it was like, nope, he was dancing in some random like bathroom that was completely empty. And like he just dances without music. That's cool. I mean, like I said, I guess people do that all the time. So thinking back on it, that's not actually as weird as I thought it was. So moving on. What was this? I thought it was a weird thing, and this is again a minor thing. I thought it was weird that his character was smoking, especially when you see how much this dude runs. Now we don't have like context on when this movie was or takes place, but it's gonna be in like an older time period, and so I don't know. It's weird to have his character smoke. It's just, I don't understand adding that feature to characters. Like with Constantine, for instance, the dude is dying. He like his soul is already guaranteed to someone else. Like he's just doing whatever. But Joker is just kind of like, and if you try to say it was for stress, I really don't understand it, because I mean, he obviously starts killing people because of his like stress and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not really helping anything, but I guess. I just thought it was a weird thing. I don't really understand the point of it being added to characters, like in general, really. And then the dude can run, like, and he is like never panting, never shown like out of breath or anything like that. Like he just runs. And it's pretty wild. He's like Forrest Gump in the dark DC verse, I guess. I found his plan to go on Murray's show and kill himself kind of weird. I guess it's foreshadowed by his death making more sense than his life, that quote inside his journal. I just think that's kind of weird, especially since he's been killing people that were mean to him the whole movie, and he's just gonna go off himself on TV. Like that just seems weird to me, and it almost comes out of nowhere. Oh no, I messed up. That's something else. Him taking the name the Joker is weird to me because other than Murray, nobody's ever referred to him as that, and I guess that's kind of the point, but it would make more sense if Joker was his stage name. Like he mentions earlier, his stage name is something else, like after a song or something like that. So I think it would have tied in better if they made Joker his stage name. But again, that's just a minor thing. Kissing the old lady when he's introduced on the Murray Show was very Joker-esque, and it made me giggle. Can't say anything about that. Okay, so again, this is going to go back to the political talk. He states that at the very beginning of the Murphy Show, he states that he's not political. This is not a political thing. He's just dressing up as a Joker because Murray made fun of him and called him a Joker. But that is his entire dialogue, is about how society failed him, a mentally ill person, society abandoned him, he was lonely, nobody was there for him, all these other things, and talking about only the rich care for the rich, and like that kind of thing. Like his entire dialogue is political, so I don't... He thinks he's not political, I guess. So he finishes his dialogue by describing it, like, yeah, I just got into this, about how he describes himself before he shoots Murray, and this movie somehow isn't political. Okay. This kind of upset me. Why even include the Wayne murders? Why? By the time Bruce is an adult, Joker will be like 60, 70 years old. It doesn't make any sense. And from what I understand, right, they came out and said that this is a standalone movie. Based on the popularity, especially with its Oscar nominations now, like maybe it'll get a sequel, but it doesn't need a sequel. This is perfect for a one-off. Like I don't understand what the point of the Wayne murders was. And I'll get more into that in a minute. And then, so I didn't think the movie ended that great. Like, just him walking out to some music and then getting chased by a guard. I don't know, maybe it fits. I just thought it was kind of weird. I didn't really care for it. I thought the movie would have ended way better if they had cut the Wayne murders and they ended the movie with him standing on top of the police car. I think that ending would have been perfect. And it almost makes me believe that this whole movie doesn't actually take place, right? So you go back to the social worker at the very beginning of the movie. She says, Arthur says something along the lines of, "I felt better when I was locked up." And she says, "Well, do you know why you were locked up?" And the dialogue kind of goes from there. But so we get into, the final moments of the film, and apart from him killing somebody, there's nothing indicating that the rest of the movie even took place. He's not injured in any way. He has no visible scars. He's not got green hair anymore. And sure, all of that could be fixed with time, but I just thought I just didn't care for the ending. I thought it would have been much, much better if they just ended with him standing on top of the police car, surrounded by his followers and all that kind of stuff. So now let's get into post-viewing. And this is where I'm really gonna make people mad. So I have a problem with this movie because of what it sets for, like the precedent it sets, right? So normies and casuals, right? We went over that in my one of my initial videos about what those terms mean. But basically, people who are interested in the franchises but don't actually like read comic books or like, get into anything like that. They just watch the movies. You guys are eating this stuff up, right? And that's cool. Nobody's saying you can't like something. But for everyone else, we just kind of have to deal with these funky adaptations and interpretations of these characters. I used to compare this to John Wayne Gacy, right? It's just about a dude who goes nuts, dresses up as a clown, and kills people, right? But I actually have a better comparison now. So this movie, right, at its core, is about a disabled man who gets bullied and decides he's going to start killing people. It's as simple as that. And that is pretty much the description of every real life shooting. But if you made a movie titled Columbine and it was just about the kids and their like journey to deciding they're going to shoot up a school, it would not get the same kind of attention at all. Like, there's no way. There's no way. I doubt that movie would even get made. But that's all this movie is. It's just about somebody who gets bullied and decides they've had enough. And it's just not the Joker. It's just not. It just isn't. It's just. And a huge part of the problem is, so like I said, it's just about a dude who gets bullied and decides he's going to kill people. And one of the like driving factors that makes that worse is the fact that basically every other side character or background character in the movie, apart from, you know, the rich people, everybody's glorifying his actions. They're like, yeah, kill people, murder the rich people, like just kill them all. And it's just like, is that how we're supposed to deal with bullies? Like, this is weird, man. And people are eating this up, and it's just weird. Like, you would never see, if they made a movie about Columbine, you would never see people on the sideline be like, yeah, shoot up those mean kids. It's like, no one would ever say that. It's just weird. And if you wanted to try arguing, like, glorifying violence and stuff by using the comparison of, like, The Punisher, that's just foolish. The Punisher, he's an outlaw. He's a criminal. He spends, like, you want to talk about the movies, you want to talk about the shows, you want to talk about the comics. The dude is constantly running from the law because he's murdering people. It's murder. And there's nobody like, oh yeah, I mean, like, eventually, like, you'll get the side characters, right? The random people he interacts with, like, yeah, I think you're doing a good thing, but it's not just like an overwhelming theme, you know, of the entire thing. Like, yeah, just go out and kill people. Like, that, that's not a thing. It's not the case. So moving on from that, this project, it really just felt like this was a project either the writer or the director wanted to do. And the only way, sorry, let me flip my page. The only way they could get this greenlit, right, is if they pitched it as a Joker movie. Which leads me into the next thing. Apart from Gotham, the Waynes, and the name Arthur Fleck, this really has nothing to do with DC Comics or, yeah, just DC Comics. It has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. Nothing about the character, nothing about any of the characters he interacts with. Absolutely nothing is anything from DC. So what was the point? To use the name and the brand. That's it. And that goes back to my point of normies and casuals would eat this up. But, like, the rest of the fan base is just like, okay, but when can I get, you know, like, my favorite rendition of this character? Or when can I get something that, like, you know, really, really just captures what the comics are, right? Because that's what comic book fans have been asking for. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at The Dark Knight. Again, like, I don't think he's the best Joker, but he's a very good interpretation and adaptation of the Joker character. It's just plain and simple. And again, going back to like the Waynes and stuff, and this movie having nothing to do with Batman, it's just kind of weird, you know? Why make a movie about a villain, right? And basically everything leading up to his kills and his murders and everything is everything that happens to him makes you want to feel bad for the character. If you think otherwise, I don't see it. I really don't. That's pretty much what the movie is going for. I mean, honestly, they even try to justify his killings. They're like, oh yeah, well, those 3 guys in the subway were beating him up. I can see that, right? Dude murders the first 2 guys, but then chasing down the 3rd guy was kind of unnecessary and just whatever, I guess. So that's the first 3. And by the way, he kills like 6 people in the movie. Just him, 6 people. In real life, that is insane. That's kind of a lot of people to kill. Well, any number of people is a lot of people to kill, but more to the point. So the 4th person he kills is his mom. His mom, like I said earlier, was barely conscious, and he just decides he's gonna murder her because she lied to him. Did she cause him to be in the situation he was in with his brain damage and stuff like that? Yeah. Is that a good reason to murder somebody though? Like, I mean, if you don't think, I mean, yeah, whatever, okay. And then Randall, the guy that shows up at his apartment, he showed up to do more of a nice thing than a bad thing, right? He's like, hey, let's get our story straight so, the cops won't, like, try to, like, attack us or anything like that. And they bring over a bottle that here his mom passed away, all this other stuff, and he just straight up murders the dude, because, like, it's like, hey, you were mean to me in the past, so I'm just gonna murder you. Okay. and then he murders the dude on live TV because he showed his clip and made fun of him. It's like, okay, guy, you're just gonna murder people because they were mean. Like, yeah, I mean, it's just wild, right? It's just wild. Like, if they made a Lex Luthor movie, would you go see it? If it didn't have Superman in it and it took place in Metropolis. If that appeals to you, then cool, but I don't see the appeal. Part of what makes a villain is their hero, because that's what it's about. It's their conflict, right? So it's just weird, man. It's just weird. And I really hope this doesn't set like a precedent for future DC projects. Just not a fan, man. Again, if you like this movie, cool. I have no quarrel with you. This video was not to change your mind. If you stuck around to the end, I appreciate you. I thank you. And if you want to have a debate, cool. Just keep it civil. I'll respond to you. But if you come at me with like some kind of childish argument, or just say I'm an idiot for like, if you say anything like that, I'm just not going to take you seriously. If you want to have an adult conversation, totally down. But I think that is going to wrap it up. This video is probably going to be pretty long. Thank you for tuning in, and I think the next one I'll do is a trailer breakdown of Morbius. I am actually kind of excited for it. See ya.